Hello, my name is Tom Dietz,
And I'm Betty Dietz.
and we are the owners of the Skipjack Art Studio on 329 Cannon Street. I run Tom Dietz Photography. I am a nature and Chesapeake Bay photographer.
And I'm a quilt maker. I started quilting over 35 years ago, and I have made many designs from traditional, and now I'm starting to make some art quilts.
So this is our studio upstairs in 329. We have tenants downstairs, the Blueberry Pie and Arts Society. We also have the Waterman's Wife, which is a seafood purveyor here in Chestertown. You can buy seafood from her, very fresh and very good.
So I started in Texas, of all places, with neighbors that got me interested in learning how to quilt. And I have done everything from teaching quilts to working in quilt shops to selling sewing machines. And I've done quilts both on what we call a domestic machine, a small normal sewing machine like a Singer or a Bernina. And now I own a larger machine called a long arm machine. It's long arm because there's room under the arm to quilt the quilt.
And I am a photographer. I've been taking pictures for probably 50 years now. Mostly specialized in wildlife photography. In our retirement, we have been very active in traveling around the world. We've gone to many places, and of course I carry my camera with me and capture the nature that I see along the way. Of course, living here in the Chesapeake Bay, I've also had the opportunity to take many wonderful photos of the Chesapeake Bay, and particularly of the sailing vessels that wander about the bay. We came to Chestertown about a year ago. We had been actually through Chestertown many times in the past, always liked the community, and we decided to buy a house on Queen Street. In the process, we've decided to move here full-time, and of course with Betty's quilting activity, we needed more space than the house had. And so we started looking around for rental properties to place her long arm sewing machine, which is about 12 feet wide. So it needs a lot of space. In the process, instead of renting a space, we ended up buying a space, and it turned into the Skipjack Art Studio.
So I'd like to show everyone what's called a long arm machine. This is this happens to be a Bernina brand. There are many out there, but I'm a Bernina fan. And I bought it a few years ago, and I finish my quilts now by doing them on the long arm machine. So quilts made out of a back, a batting, and a top. And doing it on the long arm machine, I can put the back and the top on rollers, and then it helps me to be able to quilt it, not have to baste it, stretch it on here, kind of like Grandma's old frames. I stretch it out like it's on a frame, but now the machine quilts it. And you'll see, and I'll give a little demo, this machine is on a gimbal, so it slides back and forth as I quilt. I make whatever design I want to, and I do mine all by hand. So Tom and I, since he was retired, have had the opportunity to travel around the world. And wherever we go, I like to collect pieces of artwork done by, fiber art, done by artists around the world. So this piece I picked up in Africa, the centerpiece here, it's hand painted on a piece of canvas. I brought it home and finished it with some border fabrics, and I'll quilt that off. And if you like that piece, you can come get it. This piece up here was hand painted, and I watched it on a stretcher frame by a fellow in Bora Bora. Recently, I've been getting into artwork, and much like what's on my shirt here, I'm learning how to do something called couching. And couching is where you put a piece of thread on top of a quilt and quilt over it. This is my COVID quilt. So when we were all stuck in the house over COVID, I decided I started to use up some of my scraps. Each of these pieces is just a 1.5 by 2 inch piece. And the quilt has 2,020 pieces because I did it in 2020. The houses are all no more than 6 together because of our 6 degrees of separation that we had to do over COVID. But each of the houses has a bright color in the window, the hope that COVID would soon be over and we could come back outside. So generally, in the studio, I like to showcase quilts that represent the seasons. And my favorite season is fall. So this year I have a few of my favorite fall quilts out. Wall hangings, things I enjoy doing, and in my favorite colors. And these quilts here these are bed quilts. These are larger quilts that you can take home. This is a Amish-like quilt. This one is a very much sunny, down at the beach kind of quilt. Here's a Christmas one I'll put out fully come Christmas time. So I enjoy putting all my quilts out for everyone to see.
Now we're in the photography corner of the studio. And this is a wall that kind of represents the kind of things that I like to take pictures of, at least a portion of it. I focus a lot on wildlife. I started focusing on birds, and you can see a number of the birds that I have taken photographs of on the Chesapeake Bay. I generally like to get as close as I can. Of course, the lens helps me with that. And this is a beautiful shot of a headshot of a great blue heron. We were in Tanzania. It was late in the day. And this is where a little bit of luck comes in. I panned the lion as it walked by, and you can see the reeds moving in the picture, but the head's in perfect focus. And I got that beautiful shot with perfect light. And in fact, it won the best amateur photography picture in the annual Ward Museum photo contest a couple of years back. A big part of my photography is centered around the Chesapeake Bay. And here's an example of a picture. A great opportunity to take photographs is the annual Down Rigging Festival here in Chestertown last week in October. Of course, we have beautiful sailing ships here during that period of time, typically about 8 to 10 different tall ships. And this is a picture that I took from the Lynx sailing on the Chester River. And you can see the tall ships sailing in formation down the Chester River.